Table of contents. Belgium.
This is the flag of Belgium.
This is the shield and the motto of Belgium.
Belgium is officially the Kingdom of Belgium, or in Dutch, Koninkrijk België, in French, Royaume de Belgique, and in German, Koninkrijk België.
Belgium, a federal state in Western Europe, is a founding member of the European Union, and hosts the European Union's headquarters, and those of several other major international organizations such as NATO.
Belgium is part of the Low Countries. These are collectively the three small countries of the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, and they're also known as the Benelux countries.
The name Benelux countries was first used to name the customs agreement that initiated the Union signed in 1944. It is now used in a more general way to refer to the geographic, economic and cultural grouping of these three countries.
As the name implies, this area is generally very low, in flat land.
However, most of Belgium, especially the southern part in the Ardennes, is not at a low elevation at all.
And Luxembourg is actually very hilly and even mountainous.
With a population of only 11 million people, Belgium is a comparatively small nation,
and approximately the size of the state of Maryland.
Belgium has three main geographical regions: the low coastal plain in the northwest, just to the north of Brussels, the Central Plateau, and the Ardennes uplands in the southeast adjacent to Luxembourg and Germany.
The heavily forested and hilly terrain of the Ardennes was the invasion route through Belgium taken by the German army in the May 1940 invasion of France, and also the main area of fighting in the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944.
Most of the population of Belgium is in the lower and flatter northern part of the country, especially around Brussels and the second largest city, Antwerp.
Belgium straddles the cultural boundary between Germanic and Latin Europe. It is home to two main linguistic groups. The Dutch speakers, about 60%, mostly Flemish in the region of Flanders between Brussels and the Netherlands, and the French speakers, about 40%, mostly Walloons, in the region of Wallonia between Brussels and France. There is also a small group of German speakers in the eastern part of Belgium near Germany.
Belgium's two largest regions are thus the Dutch-speaking region of Flanders in the north and the French-speaking southern region of Wallonia. The Brussels capital region, officially bilingual, is a mostly French-speaking enclave within the Flemish region. Belgium's linguistic diversity and related political conflicts are reflected in the political history and a complex system of government.
Here are the principal cities of Belgium. Brussels in the capital region with 1 million. Antwerp and Flanders with 1/2 million population. Ghent and Flanders with 230,000. Charleroi in the Walloon region with 200,000. Liège in the Walloon region of 183,000. And Brugge in Flanders with 117,000.
Now, a very brief history of Belgium.
Around 100 BC, Celtic tribes called the Belgi by the Romans settled in what is now the region in and around Belgium.
In 57 BC, the Belgi were defeated by Julius Caesar's forces at the Battle of the Sambre River.
Julius Caesar was very impressed by the Belgi and said, "Of all the Gauls, the Belgi are the bravest."
Here is Gaul, the region conquered by the Romans west of the Rhine. Belgium occupies part of the Roman province of Gallia Belgica.
In the period 200 to 400 AD, the Franks from the east settle in the same region.
After the fall of the Roman Empire, In 496 King Clovis of the Franks establishes a kingdom which includes Belgium, and introduces Christianity in the year 768. The Carolingian family begins rule over the Frankish kingdom.
In the year 800, Charlemagne is the new king of the Frankish kingdom and makes Belgium its center.
In 843 AD, the three grandsons of Charlemagne divided the kingdom among themselves after his death.
The region that was to become Belgium was ruled by Lothair I, and called the Kingdom of Lothair, or Lotharingia. Lotharingia extended from the North Sea to the Mediterranean.
Then in the next century the region of the present-day Belgium and the Netherlands became the Duchy of Lower Lorraine.
In 1477, Belgium becomes part of the Habsburg Empire after the marriage of Habsburg Emperor Maximilian I to Mary of Burgundy.
In 1506, Habsburg Emperor Charles V inherited Belgium.
The Low Countries became part of the vast Habsburg Empire under the rule of Spain.
In 1555, Philip II, son of Charles V, and King of Spain, becomes ruler of the Low Countries.
In 1566 Philip persecutes Protestants in the Low Countries, resulting in rebellion. William I, Prince of Orange, leads the locals against the Spanish forces.
In 1566 Philip quells the rebels by sending the Spanish army under the Duke of Alba.
The conflicts with Spain ends by the Treaty of Munster in 1648. Spain formally recognized the independence of the Dutch Republic, but the region of present-day Belgium remained under Spanish control.
While the northern part of the Low Countries, now the Netherlands, gained its independence in the following decades, the southern part, known as the Spanish Netherlands, remained under Spanish control until 1713, when it was transferred to Austria.
In the early 1790s, the Austrians are driven out from the region by the French, and in 1795 Belgium becomes part of France.
French control of the Low Countries ended after the defeat of Napoleon at Waterloo in 1815.
From 1815 to 1830, Belgium, Luxembourg and the Netherlands were united as the United Kingdom of the Netherlands.
This did not last long. However, in the Belgian Revolution of 1830, the southern provinces seceded from the United Kingdom of the Netherlands and established an independent Kingdom of Belgium.
In 1831 a new constitution was adopted, and Leopold I became king.
King Leopold II sent explorers to Africa in 1865, and a colony was established.
The Congo Free State is established in 1885 as a private colony of King Leopold II. The colony supplied ivory, rubber and other important goods to Belgium, while Africans are treated cruelly by the agents of the king. Leopold developed a military dictatorship over a country that was 76 times the size of Belgium.
In 1908 the Congo becomes the Belgian Congo after the U.S. forces the king to relinquish control of his private colony to the Parliament of Belgium. The Belgian Congo became independent in 1960.
Albert I became the new king of Belgium in 1909.
At the beginning of World War I, in August 1914, Belgium was invaded by Germany, and by November 1914, all of Belgium was under German rule. Belgium became the battlefield of many bloody fights during the war.
In World War II, Germany began a rapid invasion of the Low Countries on May 10, 1940.
Turning now to the post-war years. In 1945, Belgium became a co-founder of the United Nations. In 1949, Belgium joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. Belgium gave up the Congo in 1960. In 1992, Belgium joined the European Union, and in 2002 the euro replaced the Belgian franc.
Brussels.
Brussels. In French is Bruxelles and in Dutch, Brussels. It is the capital of Belgium, and the de facto capital of the European Union, EU. It is also the largest urban area in Belgium.
Brussels has grown from a 10th century fortress town, founded by a descendant of Charlemagne, to more than 1 million inhabitants, with a metropolitan area population of over 1.8 million, making it the largest in Belgium.
Since the end of the World War II, Brussels has been a main center for international politics, hosting principal European Union institutions,
as well as the headquarters of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. The city has become the polyglot home of numerous international organizations, politicians, diplomats and civil servants.
Charles of Lorraine, a descendant of Charlemagne, founded what would become Brussels' fortress town around the year 979.
Historically Dutch-speaking, Brussels has seen a major shift to French since Belgian independence. Today the city is officially bilingual. All road signs, street names, and many advertisements and services are shown in both languages.
Linguistic tensions remain, however, and the language laws regarding some municipalities surrounding Brussels are an issue of considerable controversy in Belgium. The Brussels capital region is predominantly French-speaking, with about 60 to 85% of the population being French speakers, including migrants and second-language speakers, and about 10 to 15% are native Dutch speakers.
Brussels serves as capital of the European Union, hosting the major political institutions of the Union.
The European Union has not declared a capital formally, though the Treaty of Amsterdam formally gives Brussels the seat of the European Commission, which is the executive and government branch,
and the Council of the European Union, a legislative institution made up from representatives of member states. The formal seat of European Parliament is in the French city of Strasbourg, but meetings of political groups and committee groups are in Brussels.
Now we will look at points of interest in Brussels.
Brussels is on the Meuse River.
Here is a map showing various points of interest in Brussels.
The Grand Place, or in Dutch, Grote Markt, is the central square of Brussels.
This is the area around the Grand Place.
The Grand Place is surrounded by guild halls, the city's town hall, and the bread house, in French, Maison du Roi, and in Dutch, Broodhuis.
The square is the most important tourist destination and most memorable landmark in Brussels, and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The Brussels City Hall was built on the south side of the Grand Place in stages between 1401 and 1455, and made the Grand Place the seat of municipal power.
The City Hall towers 96 meters, 315 feet, high, and is capped by a statue of St. Michael slaying a demon.
To counter this symbol of municipal power, the Duke of Brabant built a large building from 1504 to 1536 across from the City Hall, as symbol of his power. It was built on the site of the first cloth and bread markets, which were no longer in use, and it became known as the King's House, although no king has ever lived there.
It is currently known as the Maison du Roi, King's House, in French, though in Dutch it continues to be called the Broodhuis, or Bread House, after the market whose place it took.
Wealthy merchants and the increasingly powerful guilds of Brussels built houses and guild halls around the Grand Place.
Recommended video, La Grande Place, Brussels, 3 minutes.
Recommended video, Travel Brussels, Belgium, visit Grand Place in Brussels, 54 seconds.
Recommended video, Brussels City Hall, Brussels, Belgium, travel guide. 54 seconds.
A short walk from the Grand Place stands the 17th-century bronze statue of a small boy called Mannequin Piss. It is Brussels' official mascot and a famous Brussels landmark. Mannequin Piss is also known in French as Le Petit Julien.
The statue is dressed in costume several times each week, according to a published schedule posted on the railings around the fountain. His wardrobe consists of several hundred different costumes, many of which may be viewed in a permanent exhibition inside the City Museum, located in the Grand Place, opposite the town hall.
Here is a postage stamp commemorating the Mannequin Piss.
And a beer. Blanche de Bruxelles.
There are several legends about the origins of this statue.
Legend number 1, the most famous is the one about Duke Godfrey III of Leuven in 1142. The troops of the 2-year-old Duke Godfrey were battling against enemy troops. The troops put the infant Duke Godfrey in a basket and hung the basket in a tree to encourage them. From there, the boy urinated on the enemy troops, who eventually lost the battle.
Legend number 2, in the 14th century, Brussels was under siege by a foreign power. The city had held its ground for some time, so the attackers placed explosive charges at the city walls. A little boy named Juliansk urinated on the burning fuse and thus saved the city.
In legend number 3, told often to tourists, a wealthy merchant during a visit to the city with his family had his beloved young son go missing. The merchant hastily formed a search party that scoured all corners of the city until the boy was found happily urinating in a small garden. The merchant had the fountain built as a gift of gratitude to the locals who helped out during the search.
In legend number 4, a small boy went missing from his mother who was shopping in the center of the city. The woman was panic-stricken by the loss of her child, and called upon everyone to help find her child. A citywide search began, and when at last the child was found, he was urinating on the corner of a small street.
In legend number 5, a young boy was awoken by a fire, and put out the fire with his urine. This saved the king's castle from burning down.
Recommended video, Travel Brussels, Belgium, the Mannequin Pies in Brussels. 58 seconds.
The Royal Palace of Brussels, in Dutch, the Koninklijk Paleis van Brussel, and in French, the Palais Royal de Bruxelles, is the official palace of the King and Queen of the Belgians. However, it is not used as a royal residence, as the king and his family live in the Royal Castle of Laeken on the outskirts of Brussels.
The palace is situated in front of Brussels Park. A long square called the Palais en Plein, or Place des Palais, separates the palace from the park.
This is the Royal Palace and the Brussels Park.
The Atomium is an iconic building in Brussels originally constructed for Expo 58, the 1958 Brussels World's Fair. It stands 102 meters, 335 feet, tall. Its 918-meter, 59 feet, diameter stainless steel-clad spheres are connected so that the whole forms the shape of a unit cell of an iron crystal, magnified 165 billion times.
Tubes connect the spheres along the 12 edges of the cube and all 8 vertices to the center.
The tubes enclose escalators and a lift to allow access to the 5 habitable spheres, which contain exhibit halls and other public spaces.
The top sphere provides a panoramic view of Brussels.
This is the Atomium overlooking Brussels.
The Rue des Bouchers is one of the most characteristic pedestrian streets of Brussels. It is known as Brussels Valley due to the numerous cafes and restaurants offering all types of local and international cuisine, Italian, Greek, Chinese and Indian.
For the first-time visitor to Brussels, A good way to get acquainted with the city is by a sightseeing hop-off bus tour. One such tour is offered by City Sightseeing.
City sightseeing offers two routes. Line 1 or Blue Line. Brussels, Adem goes to the northern part of Brussels and includes to Adem.
These are the stops of Line 1 Brussels, Adem. This loop is 10 stops with a total duration of 75 minutes.
Line 2 or the Red Line. Brussels, Europe. Goes to the southern part of Brussels and includes the European Union buildings.
These are the stops of Line 2 or the Red Line. Brussels, Europe. This loop has 12 stops with a total duration of 75 minutes. Transfers between the two loops can be made at the central station.
Recommended video, Top 5 Travel Attractions. Brussels, 1 minute, 9 seconds.
Recommended video, Brussels. Belgium Travel Guide, Must-See Attractions, 2 minutes, 23 seconds.
Brugge.
Brugge in Flemish, or Brugge in French, was once the second largest city in Europe after London. It was a major player in the cloth trade with Britain and was very wealthy during its golden age. Today, Brugge is a popular tourist destination for Europeans and visitors from around the world.
Brugge is a beautiful medieval city that is sometimes called the Venice of the North because of its beautiful canals.
Here is a map showing the central part of Brugge and the various points of interest. Go to this link for a map of a larger area.
Here is the center of Brugge showing the two principal squares, Market Square and Berg Square.
Market Square is at the center of the ancient walled city of Brugge, lined with 17th century gabled houses and dominated by the 14th century belfort or belfry.
Here is the location of Market Square in the very heart of Brugge.
On the eastern side of the square stands the government provincial, the seat of the provincial administration, in a 19th century Gothic structure.
At a height of 270 feet or 82 meters, the Belfry Tower is not only easily found, but visitors can climb the more than 350 steps to the top to enjoy panoramic views of the city. One of the Belfry's most outstanding features is its 47 bells with a variety of melodies.
The Berg is another of the town's main squares, also known as the Fortress. This open square was the one-time home to a fortress built for Count Baldwin I to protect the town from Norman invaders. Today visitors to the square can admire its 9 centuries of architecture.
Adjacent to the Berg is the Stadhuis, or Town Hall.
The Stadhuis or Town Hall has elegant medieval turrets and 6 narrow windows bearing the coats of arms from neighboring towns and villages during the Middle Ages.
Inside the Stadhuis is the famous council chamber, renowned for its ornate ceiling, murals, and the brass statue of the city's patron saint.
The Heilig Basilica of the Holy Blood, sits next to the Town Hall, and consists of a 12th century Romanesque lower chapel and a 15th century Gothic upper chapel.
The lower chapel is the oldest in the city, and was built to house the relics of Saint Basil, from which the chapel gets its name.
The upper chapel houses the basilica's best-known relic, that of the Holy Blood.
The golden crystal container from Constantinople is thought to contain sheep's wool with the blood of Christ, said to have been brought to Brugge after the Second Crusade in the 12th century.
Each Ascension Day the relic is paraded through the town in the procession of the Holy Blood, a tradition that has been in existence since the 15th century.
The Vismarket is connected to the Berg by Blinde Ezel, or Blind Donkey, the street that runs alongside the town hall and crosses one of the city's many canals.
This small square is lined with a number of picturesque homes that make up the Hoedewijders plots.
The series of picturesque canals, Stone bridges and quays of Brugge give the city its medieval charm.
These canals can be explored both on foot and by boat, and are just a few blocks from Market Square. There are several places where you can get a canal boat ride.
The canal boat rides take about 1 hour and are a good way to experience Bruges.
The boat rides are narrated in several languages, including English.
The Rausenhoedkade is a scenic point favored by visiting painters and photographers.
The Rausenhoedkade is very close to Market Square, and a place where the canal makes a sharp bend.
The Groningen Museum is accessed through a 13th-century gateway and houses the city's best-known collection of Flemish paintings from the 14th century onward.
The Groningen Museum is along a park near the canals.
Works by Jan van Eyck, David Memling, Hieronymus Bosch, and Jan van Goyen are all on display.
The Groothuise Museum was originally the seat of the Lords of Groothuise, but now houses the Museum of Antiquities and Fine Arts.
The 15th-century Groothuise mansion displays a variety of fine and applied art, including a 16th-century tapestry entitled The Triumph of Alexander the Great.
The Onze Lieve Vrouwekerk, or the Church of Our Lady, is a 13th-century Gothic monument, exhibiting an eclectic mix of styles and dates, due to several refurbishings and remodelings.
This shows the location of the Onze Lieve Vrouwekerk.
The church tower stands at a height of nearly 400 feet or 122 meters, making it the tallest spire tower in Belgium. The interior of the Onze Lieve Vrouwekerk houses the Renaissance mausoleum of Charles the Bold and the Gothic-style mausoleum of the Mary of Burgundy, among numerous other artistic treasures.
Michelangelo's marble, Our Lady and the Child Jesus, is on display here.
The Memling Museum pays tribute to one of Brugge's most famous painters, Hans Memling, 1433 to 1494, and explores some of his best work.
The Memling Museum is housed in the former St. Jan's Hospital.
And its most notable displays include the mystical marriage of Saint Catherine, and the altarpiece, Saint John the Baptist and Saint John the Evangelist.
Recommended video, Bruges Belgium tourist attractions, 3 minute, 7 seconds.
Recommended video, Brugge. Belgium travel guide visiting the Belfry in Brugge. 56 seconds.
Our port for visiting Belgium is Zeebrugge.
Zeebrugge is a port on the North Sea, 10 miles north of Brugge and 60 miles from Brussels.
Zeebrugge is at the end of an 8-mile-long canal connecting the city of Brugge with the North Sea. It is actually an artificial port, built because the existing marine channel to Brugge at the time had become clogged with silt.
Because of its strategic location, Belgium has often been targeted by opposing military forces in 1918. During World War I, British naval forces sank block ships in the harbor of Zeebrugge to block the entry of German submarines in 1944. The entire port was destroyed by the retreating Germans.
The port of Zeebrugge is a man-made harbor for cargo and for tourists attracted to the area's many historic and architectural highlights. The Zeebrugge Center is approximately 2.5 miles or 4 kilometers from the port.
A number of people have asked about how to get from Zeebrugge to Brugge.
There is a train from the nearby village of Blankenberge to Brugge, and the trip takes only 11 minutes. The train cost €5.
The village of Blankenberge is about 2.5 miles from the port, but there should be a shuttle or tram that runs often.
The train from Blankenberge to Brugge goes every hour at 10 minutes past the hour. There's also a bus that goes to Brugge from the train station. From the railway station of Bruges to the center is about a 20-minute walk, or you can take a bus there and it's a 5-minute ride.
Ghent.
Ghent was an important city during the Middle Ages, serving as the seat of the Counts of Flanders and the center of the textile trade.
Modern Ghent is undergoing a major renovation, restoring its Gothic and Renaissance architecture, and attracting visitors to its mostly pedestrianized streets.
This is a view of Ghent.
Art also plays an important role in Ghent, especially in the city's St. Bavo's Cathedral, where
Jan van Eyck's 15th century Adoration of the Mystic Lamb, and Rubens' The Vocation of St. Bavo, are on display.
An exciting way to see Ghent is by a hop-on, hop-off boat tour.
The hop-on, hop-off boat tour has 6 stops and walking routes.
This is a map of Ghent. It shows the route of the boat tour and points of interest. For a larger version and further details, follow this link.
Antwerp.
Antwerp was never a political capital, but was one of the most economically influential cities in Northern Europe. In the 15th century, the connection of Brugge to the sea became laden with silt, shifting the center of trade to Antwerp.
A Renaissance followed, producing many of the city's Renaissance and Gothic structures. Peter Paul Rubens, along with his contemporaries, built Antwerp into a center of the arts, and many of Rubens' finest work can be found in the city's religious buildings and museums.
Over the centuries, Antwerp has also emerged as the world's largest center of diamond cutting.
Antwerp is on the Scheldt River, and is one of the largest ports in Europe.
This is a satellite view of Antwerp on the Scheldt River.
The port of Antwerp on the Scheldt estuary is one of the largest in Europe and Belgium's major port.
Here is Antwerp's central square, the Grote Market.
This shows the location of the Grote Market and the cathedral.
Here is a satellite view of the Grote Market and surrounding area.
And a closer-up view.
The Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk, or Our Lady's Cathedral, is the largest Gothic cathedral in Belgium, and a major landmark of Antwerp.
The interior contains some of the world's greatest Rubens paintings, Elevation of the Cross,
and The Descent from the Cross.
The Groenplatz is one of Antwerp's most prominent squares, located in the heart of the city's historic district.
At the center of Groenplatz is the statue of the famous Belgian painter, Peter Paul Rubens.
Recommended video, Travel Antwerp. Belgium, Het Steen, oldest stone structure in Antwerp, 1 minute.
For the first-time visitor to Antwerp, a good way to get acquainted with the city is by a sightseeing hop-on, hop-off bus tour. One such tour is the Antwerp Diamond Bus.
This is a map of the tour route. A complete loop with 8 stops takes 1 hour.
These are the 8 stops of the tour route.
Belgium has been called a nation of gourmands and gourmets, a country where big cuisine meets fine cuisine. It has been said that Belgium serves food of French quality in German quantities.
Waffles are sometimes eaten as a street snack. Among the better-known styles are the Liège waffle, the Brussels waffle, and the stroopwafel.
Vaderzooi is a rich stew or soup of chicken, or sometimes fish, vegetables, cream and eggs, associated with Ghent.
Belgium is known for its chocolate. Belgian chocolate is considered to be the gourmet standard by which all other chocolate confections are measured.
Even the Swiss, known for their own high-quality chocolate, imported the basic recipe from French and Belgian chocolatiers in today's world of automation and mass production. Most Belgian chocolate is still made by hand, in shops using original equipment.
Chocolatier Duman is known for the very best in Belgian chocolate. It is only a short distance from the Grote Market.
For a comparatively small country, Belgium produces a very large number of beers in a range of different styles. In fact, it has more distinct types of beer per head than anywhere else in the world. Almost every style of beer has its own particular, uniquely shaped glass or other drinking vessel.
Our Brussels sprouts from Brussels?
Yes, in a way. Brussels sprouts, as we now know them, were grown possibly as early as the 13th century in what is now Belgium, in the area around Brussels.
Belgian Handicrafts.
The intricate lace patterns in Belgium are unmatched in any other country. The lace trade rose during the early Renaissance.
Emperor Charles V decreed that lace-making should be a compulsory skill for girls in convents throughout Flanders. Lace became fashionable on collars and cuffs for both sexes, and trade reached a peak in the 18th century.
Lace makers are traditionally women.
Hundreds of craftswomen still work in Brugge and Brussels, centers of bob and lace, creating intricate work by hand.
Belgian lace is bought today mainly as a souvenir. But despite the rise in machine-made lace from other countries, the quality here still remains as fine as it was in the Renaissance.
Lace also has its place in museums. Situated close to the Grand Place, the Musée du Costume et de la Dentelle, or the Museum of Costume and Lace, has a permanent collection of fine lace.
Will it be hot? Or will it be cold in Belgium?
Here are the average high and low temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year in Brussels.
Here are the average high and low temperatures in degrees Celsius throughout the year in Brussels.
Here is the average number of rainy days per month in Brussels. We see that it rains quite often, around half the days, year-round.
Here are the average high and low temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year in Brugge.
Here are the average high and low temperatures in degrees Celsius throughout the year in Brugge.
Here is the average number of rainy days per month in Brugge.
Recommended video. Do you want to know more about Belgium? 4 minutes. 11 seconds.
Table of contents.